Okay. Hello and welcome to Comfort Legacies with Faye Michelle. And today we have our beautiful guest, Miss Lisa Sanchez, and she's going to start by telling us a little bit about herself.
Great. Well, I'm Lisa. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I spent all of my time here. I went to college here as well, Cal State University, Northridge, and spent my whole professional career here. So right now, I am a vice president for human resources for an art and design college in Pasadena, California. And I am the mom of one son named Brian.
Oh, okay. All right. How old's your son?
He's 37.
Oh, okay. I have a son that's 37.
Yeah, I started young.
Okay. I think he's 37. It's been so long. Listen, I stopped counting after 30. I don't pay attention anymore.
Absolutely. Sometimes I have to ask him how old he is just to keep me reminded.
Right. Okay. So now tell us the name of your book.
So the name of my book is called Looking for Love in a Garbage Can, A Journey of Healing, How I Survived an Alcoholic Environment.
Okay. Awesome. So with that being said, why don't you walk us through it a little bit and tell us a little bit more in depth about what it means to look for love in a garbage can?
Absolutely. So my backstory is that I was raised in a very violent, dysfunctional, alcoholic environment at the hands of my father. And as a child, you can't really reconcile what is happening in your home. And so I went through a number of experiences, or what I call episodes. And that was every time my dad was drunk, threatened us with a gun, put us out of the house, was physical with my mother. And imagine this happening from age 6, from the time that I can remember, well into my mid-20s when I finally moved out of my house. And what I didn't realize was that all of those episodes were impacting my self-esteem, my values, my self-worth. And I was looking for love in all of the wrong places. I was attracting men who were just like my father. And so when I say looking for love in a garbage can, it was all those messy, smelly places of looking for love in those foul environments. And so my book really tracks my past. So making peace with my past, acknowledging every experience that I went through. The middle part of the book is all of those relationships and how I connected my environment to those relationships. And then finally, the healing process, because you can't possibly live your life this way forever. And so I had to heal myself from everything that I felt wounded me because I was living my life as a victim.
Okay. So now, did you have siblings as well?
Absolutely. 2 older brothers and an older sister. So I always said I was the baby of the bunch, as if that meant anything.
Okay. And when you wrote your book, now, when did you publish your book?
I published my book March 31st, 2021 of this year, but I wrote it 10 years ago.
Really? Okay.
I did. I didn't have the courage to finish it. For me, it was more about therapy, getting everything out of my heart, really healing my soul. And going through the pandemic where everybody was trapped at home, had to stay at home, I had a lot of time of reflection, introspection. By this time, both of my parents had passed away. And I just stepped out in courage.
Okay.
I stepped out on faith and I said, now's the time, because I feel like I'm going to help some people with my story.
Okay. Now, you said both of your parents passed away. Were they still together? Were they still married, or after
Yes. By the time my mom passed away, my parents were married for 60 years. They were of that generation where they stayed together. My mother this was her house. This is her family. And she felt that as I got older and could understand what was happening, she felt that staying was for us.
Yes.
But I write about that in my book.
Oh, wow. I can tell you, it's very emotional.
Yes.
Now, did she know, or either of them know that you had started writing your book?
No,
No one
neither
knew.
one of them knew. I always took comfort in the written word as a child, as a teenager, as an adult, just always just pouring my heart into journaling.
Okay.
And over time, it just developed into me just writing my story, but they never knew.
They never
They
knew.
never knew about this book.
Okay. And what about your siblings now that you have it published? How are they feeling about the book?
So my sister finished it first, and she sent me the most beautiful message. And then we also talked about it. She said, wow, you are courageous. Thank you for telling your story. I support you. At one point, when she was reading about an event that happened to me, she was so surprised. So midway or quarter through the book, she called me and said, oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened to you. My oldest brother is reading the book now. And my second oldest brother, I'm sorry to say, I don't have a relationship with him. He, I think, was wounded from our experience, but never found his journey.
Right. I can understand that. That happens quite often. Wow. That's all
Yes.
I can leave that right there. And too many experiences, so I can understand that wholeheartedly.
Yes.
And displace anger or some, right on point, but trying to make it all make sense doesn't always make sense. So
absolutely. And I always approach this book as my journey. My sister-in-law is reading my book now and sent me a text. And she said, while I'm sending you this text, I'm crying because now I know why my ex-husband, who was my brother, treated me the way that he did, because he was also very abusive toward her.
Okay.
So it's a cycle. You see the cycle that happens?
Absolutely. So how is your reach? What about now that's your family. What about your friends and close circle?
So everyone right now is buying the book and they are reading bits and pieces of it. One of my cousins has finished the book, and I talk about one of the molestations that happened to me, who happens to be her father.
Oh, no.
And she read the story. She, in her heart, knows that that is her father, but she's finding all kinds of reasoning to say that was not her father. He could never have done that. But she won't call me directly. She's calling my sister. She's calling my other cousin. So I know I'm revealing some things in this story that will be hurtful, but at the same time, it was a process for me to heal. Yeah. And so my friends have been very encouraging, and people are just reading the book right now. And so I'm just little by little, people reveal what they are acknowledging in the story. Yeah.
So Lisa, since you mentioned that about your cousin, did you prepare people for what was in the book?
I did not. And the reason why I didn't is because, again, it was my story. It was my journey. And sometimes when you tell people what journey you're on, they're setting up roadblocks along the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Things all of a sudden come in the road. Here comes a tree. Here comes another car. And so when I do things, and I've always been this way, I lay out my journey, I accomplish what I set out to do, and then I do the announcement.
Okay. Alrighty. That makes sense. Well, I guess that's kind of like what I mean about preparing. Not perhaps before, because you started journaling long before. And but after the book was completed, I was just wondering, did you prepare anyone at that juncture? You know what I mean? So
yeah, I did not. I did ask my sister though, because she's like my go-to. I shared the pink bedroom with her as a kid. You know, she's the person I go to. And she said, no, just people will find out, and just let them find out.
Did you say the pink bedroom?
The pink bedroom. That was the bedroom we shared as a kid.
Yes, we make fun of our bedroom. We had the oh goodness, the sunflower.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's that ugly picture. It's like, you know,
exactly. With the white furniture, the pink walls, and it's like, those are the memories I have with my sissy poo. I call her my sissy poo.
Yes, yes. Oh gosh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, how did you come up with the title? It is very captivating.
Yes, the title. Oh gosh, I really searched my heart for that title. And boy, since I wrote the book about 10 years ago, I don't even think I named it until after I finished the book.
Right.
And it was a way to try to have people visualize, how on earth do you find love in a garbage can? Like, what does that even mean?
Yes, yes.
But it also represented part 2 of my book, those relationships I walked into. And again, I say in the beginning of the book, it's not a male bashing book. It is about my choices, how I showed up, who I was in those relationships. And it was smelly and foul, and my choices were bad. And
yes, yes.
So it just, all of a sudden, it was just like looking for love in a garbage can. That's it.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. Now, you're very accomplished. So when did you make that decision to turn it all around for yourself?
So thank you for that question, because you're right. I've always been very goal driven, even as a kid, even after going through all of those episodes in my home. And when I was pregnant at 19, having to face my father, he said, "You will never be anything in life." So that was like, okay, how dare you tell me, you know, you're not going to tell me, I'll show you. My dad left this earth so proud of me. So that's an aside. But as I continued through life, entering into these relationships, not recognizing that something was wrong with me, I was in my mid 40s in a relationship that I thought this man was everything for me. My breath came from him, right? Like my heart was pulsating because of him. And when he dropped me like a bad habit, it was my awakening. It was my awakening. And I had to go see a therapist. Yeah. And that therapist was the person who said, even that relationship that I was in was another abusive relationship because of the way he was treating me. Now, he didn't physically hit me like the others. He didn't call me out of my name like the others. It was his controlling ways. And it was the way I was reacting to that, you know, how do you want me to jump? You want me to do this? Or you want me to turn left? Or you want me to sit down? That was still an abusive relationship. And I didn't know that. And so that therapist really had me doing some homework. 4 or 5 questions, and I talk about this in the book, where I had to dig deep and dig in and answer some questions about my past, about my relationship choices, how those were related to my mother and my father. And after going through that, I was well on my journey. I kept reading and I turned a corner.
Okay. So can you give me an example of the question?
Yes. So one of the questions was, what do you see in your father that is triggering some of your relationship choices? That was one. And then similarly for my mother, how are you showing up in the same shoes as your mother? My mother was very submissive. She didn't talk back. You know, so I had to examine those things in me because I was the same way. What happens with the youngest child in an alcoholic environment is you become the pleaser, the fixer. Okay, let me make sure everything is good in the house so that daddy doesn't have an episode. And that's how I showed up in my relationship. So I had to examine those things.
Gotcha.
And then as I continued to get therapy and read, I had to then think about, well, what kind of partner do I want? Oh my goodness, you mean I can actually make a list?
You can make a list?
You can actually make a list of who you want in a partner? So it was that kind of examination.
That is amazing. That is amazing. So it's great to know that, and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit. When I was in junior college, that was the first thing that I wanted to do was become a therapist or a psychologist. I didn't really know the terminology of it. Yeah. But I was a cosmetologist at the time. And I thought, you know, I used to get people in my chair and I used to counsel them all the time. And we used to talk. And I used to say I was going to be the first cosmetologist or something like that. But I asked the teacher, and I was always too smart for my own good, I think. I asked the professor once, can you change people?
Oh.
And he told me no.
Yeah.
And it broke me. I was like, you mean at that time, I said, you mean to tell me you charge $50 an hour and you can't change people?
Yes.
And it just took me off in another direction. And I just decided that was not the profession for me because I just didn't see, I wanted to be a change. And I regret that I ever asked that question.
Yeah.
Because I know now, and even through conversations like this and even, talking to friends and whatnot, I know that it is not only it's not about changing people. It's being therapeutic and letting people express and get it out of them. But I always felt like I could change them. Just listen to me. Just listen to me. I can make you do this better,
Exactly.
So, yeah. Yes. That changed it for you. And had I known that, I think I would have never, ever stopped until I achieved those objectives. So, but, God had something else in store.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
So, but I'm so interested to hear. Now, so did you self-publish?
I did self-publish. And, oh boy, trying to get a traditional publisher was challenging. Yeah. And so sometimes things happen in life for the right reason at the right time. So I never questioned. And my delaying for 10 years opened my eyes to self-publishing because I never even thought about that.
Yes, and it was perfect timing.
Perfect timing because I found out that most authors or a lot of authors are doing that these days, unless you are a Michelle Obama or somebody like that who can easily get a publisher. But I was connected to an editor. This is important. An editor to make sure that you are putting out quality product, a graphics person, and in addition to that, the graphics person taught me the ins and outs of how to get your barcode, the ISBN, and setting up all of that stuff. Well, honestly, I paid for it because that's just my mindset. If I can pay for a service, I'll do it.
Exactly, right? There's nothing wrong with sourcing it out.
That's right. That's right.
You know what needs to be done.
Exactly. So that's what I did.
This program is about. Yeah, that's what the program is all about. This platform is sharing how you took your journey. So many people do it different kind of ways. So you have the editor, and how many editors did you go through? Did you just use the same editor the entire time, or?
Actually, when I finished the book 10 years ago, I had an editor go through it. And the editor is important because not only are they dotting the I's and crossing the T's and all of that, they're looking at your words through a different lens. When you're writing, you know your story in your head, but is it actually coming out on paper?
being
in a
conveyed.
way that the reader understands your journey.
Right.
And so I paid that editor to do all that work. And then, like I said, I walked away from my book.
Right.
So fast forward to 2021, I still used that editor's comments.
Okay.
When I hired a new editor. So the new editor said, the first editor did a beautiful job. Let me just take it from there. And she also said there were some things that I don't really agree with her. I think should stay in your story, right? So no two editors are going to be alike. But I gave the first editor, even though it was 10 years ago, I still gave her credit in my book.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
So the new editor was able to ask me questions. She put a lot of comments in the margin. Well, wait a minute, you said this, now you're saying, so that's why for anyone who's listening, who they're working on their book, invest in an editor. Now the price range is going to vary, but make sure you do that for yourself.
Yes, and there are different types of editors.
Yes.
Reading editors, context editors.
Absolutely.
All kind of beta editors.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So that's helpful to know. That's why I asked you how many editors did you have and did you go through?
Yeah.
So then when it came time to upload and format, did you do the formatting or did you have your editor or someone else do it?
My editor did it. The person who did my graphics, and she did the front cover, the back cover. She got it online for me. She did everything for a fee, of course. But again, I don't mind paying. I'm blessed in my life where I get pay for services. Well, it's a lot of work, and I'd rather pay someone for their professional skills who understands this business than me taking the time to figure it out, because I've got a day job that is so demanding.
Right. Okay. And then, so, what about the marketing? How are you going about marketing?
So this is the stage where I am right now. I am right at the beginning of marketing. I have stated in previous forums or in other forums that right now I'm in a very soft launch. So my book is I advertise it on Clubhouse. It's on my Instagram. My book has been selling by word of mouth, but my actual targeted marketing is for mid-May, because I want to do it around Mother's Day in honor of my mother. And also May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Okay. And because my journey is about mental health, I suffered from depression and all kinds of things living in my home environment. So my launch is going to be mid-May. So I will do all of the social medias. I will probably try to do my own press release because I have that in my background. But right now I'm interviewing folks to be either my publicist or my social media manager or something. So I am exploring various options, either doing it myself or again, paying the professional.
Okay. Well, oh wow, this has been so great. And your journey is amazing. And I'm sure that it's going to be so helpful for so many people. And one other question, have you decided to do speaking engagements?
Absolutely. So that is part of my marketing plan. I actually started a business that supports my book. So my journey now is all about helping people find their path of survival, and not only to survive, but to thrive. And so I started a business called Just Dig Into It. And it's in the startup phases, but I intend to do life coaching. I intend to do speaking engagements. I want to help people craft their plans. And so that's how I intend to also get the book out. What I've also learned is that the book is like your business card, but your purpose is something else. And my purpose is just dig into it. It's to reach out to women and people who are in my situation so that we can help them dig in and dig out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with us. It's a great book. Love the title and all of what you have to say. Is there anything that you can leave with the audience if someone is aspiring to decide to get on this journey?
Yes, so it takes courage. And being courageous means that you open yourself up to vulnerability, but that's okay because those two will connect and will help you rise above any fear that you have. And another part of that is to remember that it is your journey, it is your healing, and you can lead the way. It's your narrative. Don't get stuck in how someone else has defined you. Don't let your experiences define you. So just dig into it.
Just dig into it. I like that. And what did it feel like to have someone push that button when you got that book in your hand?
Oh my God, I was doing my happy dance. It was so joyful. Like the story is out there, and it's this feeling of, okay, I'm spilling my life to the world, and people are reading my story. But it's okay. Everything happens for a reason. Forgiveness is everything. That's a big part of my book. Don't let ill feelings about people or your circumstances take up residency in your heart. You've got to let it go.
Let it go. Ah, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
I'm happy to have you back when things launch and we open up and we can
Absolutely.
really tell you, learn more about your journey. Thanks so much.
I would love that. Thank you.